All right, Shalom. This is Harawan by Yasha Allah of the Lions Den Camp. Before I begin, I want to say Kal Halayim, La Yahweh, Bahashem Yahushai, Bahashem Harakah Kodash, Ma'amah. Double honor to the elder apostles of GMS and the elders. Shalom to you, Akim, Nagwatim and children that believe in sincerity and truth around the four corners of the earth. Let's get right into this lesson. This is going to be a quick one dealing with a post. This is a post that was recently made from what's his name? 50 Cent. All right, Curtis Jackson. Um, he has a new movie coming out called Saint Moses the Black, and I saw this coin, and I don't know if this is a coin from like Russian icons or, um, but I remember seeing this picture before depicting this depiction of Moses. All right, now I'm gonna read this real quick. This is from 50 Cent's social media website. It says 50 Cent Saint Moses the Black is a powerful piece of work. When you see this movie, it may change how you look at things. Now, it's going to be starring Omar Epps. It's like a jail movie, kind of like the movie Animal, I'm sure, with Ving Rhames and Nipsey Hussle before. Now, the point is not that about um, what do you call it, the jail movie side of things, but the point is about this historical fact that Moses was dark skinned, and so were the rest of the Levites. All right, you might have some light skin and dark skin, but proportionately they were dark skinned as what you would call Negroes. All right, but we were not Africans. All right, so this is a good depiction of what Moses would have actually looked like. All right, now I want to get this real quick. Let's go to Exodus 2, and we can read about Moses when he was thought to be an Egyptian, and he actually was raised up with the Egyptians. And we know that the Egyptians were actually Hamites, and Hamites are the Africans. All right. So there were times in the scriptures in the book of Exodus where Moses was thought to be an African, all right, an Egyptian. We know the original word of Egypt. That's a Greek way of saying the true name, which it would be Matazarium, all right, Mitzrayim. Matazarium is one of the children of um, Ham, all right, one of the descendants of Ham. So let's go here real quick and read. This is Exodus chapter 2, verse 1. It says, now a man from the house of Levi went and took as his wife a Levite woman. All right. The woman conceived and bore a son, and these were two Israelites, Levites. And when she saw that he was a fine child, she hid him 3 months. All right. So he was a legitimate, beautiful Israelite baby boy, just like Jacob came out normal. Uh, okay. So let's keep going. When she when she could hide him no longer, she took for him a basket of bulrushes and daubed it. Okay, make sure. And she daubed it with bitumen and pitch, and put the child in it and placed it among the reeds by the riverbank. All right. So let me turn my brightness up. So now let's go here. Check this out. These are actual bulrushes. Yeah, here you go. Let me show you a picture of bulrushes real quick. They look like hot dogs on a stick out by the water. They call them cattails. They got a lot of them here in Florida. These are bulrushes. So she took a bunch of bulrush leaves, and they would even use these as measuring um, tools in the ancient times. All right, you could use these for measurement. They would take the leaves and what you call that, crochet or weave them together to make a basket. All right, so let's keep going. The woman conceived and bore a son, and when she saw that he was a fine child, she hid him 3 months. When she could hide him no longer, she took for him a basket made of bush bulrushes, endowed it with bitumen and pitch. She put the child in it and placed it among the reeds by the river bank. And his sister stood at a distance to know what would be done to him. All right. Um, I think that was Miriam, if I'm not mistaken. Let me make sure real quick. All right, yeah, that was Miriam. All right. So Miriam, she stood at a distance to know what would be done to Moses. So she was watching Moses. Now this happened around what would that be? Yeah, 1446. So about 1526 or so BC. This was when Moses was born. So he would be about 40 years old when he um, to fled to Midian. All right, from the Pharaoh. It says now the daughter of Pharaoh. Let me turn the music down. So like it. Now the daughter of Pharaoh. All right, and this Pharaoh was Amenhotep the first, and then you had Tutmosis the first, and then you had Tutmosis the second, and that Tutmosis the second was married to this girl named Hatshepsut, and that was also the daughter of Pharaoh, the two two pharaohs prior, which would be Amenhotep the first. All right, and one of his daughters was named Hatshepsut, and she's the one that when she was young, she was ruling as a princess. She became a so-called queen, later to be called a king. They or pharaoh. They raised her up as a pharaoh. All right, which is going off. So it says now the daughter of Pharaoh. All right, that name Hatshepsut, who was a Hamite, came down to bathe at the river, while her young women, which was most likely Israelites, the young women, walked beside the river. She saw the basket among the reeds and sent her servant woman, and she took it. And that servant woman, I believe, just so happened to be, uh, Moses' mother. All right. When she opened it, she saw the child, and behold, the baby was crying. She took pity on him and said, "This is one of the Hebrews' children." All right. So she knew that our children were being persecuted, just like during the times of Herod. But this was during the time of Amenhotep the first. All right. Let me see if I got a picture of him. Let me show you. Here you go. All right, this is Amenhotep the first. You could clearly see he had African features, right? He had Hamitic African features, and this is his daughter, right? They call him Afro-Asiatic. They didn't call him black. They were Hamites, and All right, they gotta look like she Chinese, but you know they them dark skinned Hamites. All right, that look like that. So anyway, Hatshepsut. Here you go. Who's the Sankofa Pan African? Anyway, Hatshepsut, the woman who became Pharaoh. See that? So she was the grand or the daughter of Amenhotep the first, who sent out to destroy all the Israelite children. All right, and Tutmosis the first. Now you can clearly see that they're Hamites. This was Tutmosis the first. All right, and Tutmosis the second. He was around during the time when Moses ran to Midian. All right, Tutmosis the third. He was the one during the time of the Exodus, 1446 BC. All right, so this is Tutmosis the first. Clearly got that big ass head like a Hamite. He don't like no Edomite. Look at it. There's a Hamite, tall as African. Well, um, yep, tall as African Hamite. And you had the the Pharaoh during the time of the Exodus, Tutmosis the third. He was known as like a 5 footer. He was short. All right, this is from the Zondervan Bible Dictionary. Ham, the youngest son of Noah, born probably about 96 years before the flood, and one of 8 persons to live through the flood. He became the progenitor of the dark races. So these are the dark skinned people, not the Negroes, because the Negroes are dark skinned as well, just like Moses. But the Egyptians, so the Egyptians are dark skinned, but the Egyptians, the Ethiopians, which are Cushites, all right, a lot of those pharaohs were Cushites, right? Later, a lot of those Cushites got pushed out into Sudan, northern and southern Sudan, with the Nubians and some of the Egyptians, Libyans, and Canaanites. All right, so you had the Egyptians, and that's what half she put. She was an Egyptian, and she was able to take this child in as her own because he looked just like those Egyptians. You know, he wasn't no damn Edomite. All right, so let's keep going. So where was that? There you go. So you have here, it says Exodus 2 and 6. When she opened it, she saw the child, and behold, the baby was crying. She took pity on him and said, "This is one of the Hebrews' children." But he was a Hebrew, but he looked like one of those Egyptians. All right, dark skin. This and the proof of that is with Joseph. You know, when they thought he was the Pharaoh, imagine if he looked like an Edomite. It was Caucasian. But no, Joseph was dark skinned, so he looked just like one of the pharaohs. But then his sister said to Pharaoh's daughter, all right. So Miriam said to Hatshepsut, "Shall I go and call you a nurse from the Hebrew women to nurse the child for you?" And Pharaoh's daughter said to her, "Go." Hatshepsut said to her, to Miriam, "Go." So the girl went and called the child's mother, called Moses' mother. Come on, man. That was the Most High protecting Moses. Same mother that put him into the water and the bulrushes is the same mother that was right there to protect him. Just like um, us being sent off and drawn from the waters as well, and the Lord right there to cover us and protect us. All right. And Pharaoh's daughter said to her, "Take this child away and nurse him for me, and I will give you your wages." So the woman took the child and nursed him. When the child grew, she brought him to Pharaoh's daughter, and he became her son. She named him Moses because she said, "I drew him out of water." That's what Masha means, drawn from the waters. But clearly, for her to be considered his son, he would have to be resemble those Africans, man. All right. Moses flees to Midian. Now this happened um, uh, during the time of Tutmosis the first, and actually Tutmosis the second. So like, let me see if I can get an image of him. The second. How you do second? Yep, Tutmosis the second of the 18th dynasty. All right, this would be Tutmosis the second of the 18th dynasty. He was the one that chased Moses. Um, Let me just read it real quick. All right, this is Tutmosis the second. All right, here you go. It says one day when Moses had grown up, so he's about 40 years old around this time. It's about 40 years later. All right, so what would that be? So from like 526, that would be like 1526. It would be like 1480 or something like that. I ain't gotta do the calculations. About 1480 or so, approximately. All right, so this was Tutmosis the second. One day when Moses had grown up, he went out to his people and looked on their burdens, and he saw an Egyptian beating a Hebrew, one of his people. And he looked this way and that, and seeing no one, he struck down the Egyptian and hid him in the sand. All right. So that's when Moses started waking up and realizing that, whoa, those are my people, not these Egyptians. Right. When he went out the next day, behold, two Hebrews were struggling together, and he said to the man in the wrong, "Why do you strike your companion?" And he answered, "Who made you a prince and judge over us? Do you mean to unalive us as you unalived that Egyptian?" Then Moses was afraid and thought, "Surely the thing is known." And when Pharaoh heard of it, he sought to unalive Moses. But Moses fled from Pharaoh, um, to Moses the second, and stayed in the land of Midian. See that? So he was about 40 years old when he ran there. And he sat down by the well. Now, the priest of Midian had 7 daughters, and they came and drew water and filled the troughs to water their father's flock. The shepherds came and drove them away, but Moses stood up and said and saved them and watered their flock. When they came home to their father Ruel, he said, "How is it that you have come home so soon today?" Check this out. It says, "They said an Egyptian delivered us out of the hand of the shepherds, and even drew water for us and watered the flock." All right. So they looked at him as an Egyptian. You know, and Egyptians were what? Dark skin. Let me read that again. Look, let me show you. Let's read that again. Where it says, Ham, the youngest son of Noah, born probably about 96 years before the flood, one of 8 persons to live through the flood, he became the progenitor, it's talking about Ham, of the dark races. So the Egyptians were dark. He became the progenitor of the dark races, not the Negroes, but the Egyptians, Ethiopians, Libyans, and Canaanites. And Tutmosis the second was known as an Egyptian. All right, just like Hatshepsut. Right, they were known as the 18th dynasty of Egypt, but they were dark skinned. All right, and Moses was thought to be an Egyptian, not this guy here. Like they, and that's the reason for this lesson, as I'm seeing. Hold up, get rid of this one. Keep that. All right, this is the reason right here. Look, this is what they put up. They have you believing that this demon is Moses. All right, this is Charles Heston, an Edomite Hollywood actor. Look at it. All right. So they put him up as Moses, man. Look at this. And they even got the Lord's name right here. Yah-ha-wah-ha, Yahweh. In the movie, The Ten Commandments, they got the real language, but they got it all gibberish. Look, it says Kabad, no, Kabad Ah Tharya Kawa Kawath Amak. They don't make sense. You know, Allah Kaya Alakia. So they got a bunch of gibberish up here, but they got the Most High's true name right there. Mingle them with it. Allah Hayak would be Allah Hayam. Yahweh Allah Hayam. All right, they changed it. So anyway, you know they mock us right in our face, man. Um, but the true image of Moses would be this one. All right, and it just stuck out to me. I can't just ignore it. But it says Saint Moses, which would be Masha, and he's a so-called Negro from the tribe of Levi, which today would be called the Haitians. Let's see, let me pull up something real quick. That's deep. Let me show you this. See, this is an old Haitian. That's what Moses would look like. All right, this is an old Haitian, and today they're the biblical tribe of Levi. Oh shit! Let me fix this battery so I can. So you know what I mean. So yeah, this is more of a depiction of what Moses would look like, right, in his 40s or 50s. But he didn't look old and frail. Old and frail. It said when he parted from the earth, he was youth. He was old in age, but he was youthful in physique. The Lord kept him young looking. All right, kept his youth. So Exodus 2:19, and they said, an Egyptian delivered us out of the hand of the shepherds and drew water for us and watered the flock. So this is talking about who? Moses, who they thought was an Egyptian. All right, and again we know that the Egyptians are the descendants of Ham, who were dark skin. All right. It says not the Negroes, but of the Egyptians. So that's how you can find out if Moses uh, was dark skinned. All right. And the truth about our people, because it's all in the scriptures, man. You got to know how to read it, and ignore the lies like this. But yeah, our people have a zeal of the most high is not according to knowledge. Right? See, it's something drawing 50 Cent to come out with this movie, Saint Moses the Black. And they have little notions. They'll be like, yeah, the Israelites were black, but we're not black. The word black doesn't really exist. It's a Greek terminology for the deeper tones of blue. We would be considered dark brown. All right, different shades of brown. So yeah, Saint Moses, my child, he's a so-called Negro. Look for that movie to come out from 50 Cent, Saint Moses the Black, but it's gonna be more so focused on Omar Epps and like a jail scene, but I'm sure it's gonna have some um, hints of biblical scripture in there, unless they try to go towards Islam or some bullshit. But yeah, man, this is interesting. Saint Moses the Black movie coming out soon. This picture is what caught my eyes, and yeah, the true depiction of Moses. All right, a so-called Haitian, who they thought was an Egyptian. All right, dark skin. And with that, I'm gonna say shalom.